Williams could face the difficult task of replacing star driver George Russell next season if, as many expect, he steps up to Mercedes in 2022. With Lewis Hamilton's place already confirmed, it appears to be between Russell and Valtteri Bottas for the second Mercedes seat. The question is, how does a team languishing towards the bottom of the Constructors' Championship find a suitable successor? Team boss Jost Capito believes Williams' recent progress, thanks to significant investment from owner Doralton Capital, now makes it an attractive destination for Formula 1 drivers. But while there is still hope Russell could stay on, even then, Williams might be in the market for another driver, given Nicholas Latifi's place is not yet guaranteed. So which drivers should be on the Williams shortlist for a possible post-Russell Williams lineup from 2022? Let us know in the comments who you would pick and how you think Williams would fare if it did go into next season without George Russell. It's difficult to see Pierre Gasly entertaining the idea of turning his back on Red Bull and an AlphaTauri team that's performing so well to join Williams. But given his troubled history with Red Bull Racing, it would make sense for Williams at least to ask the question. Gasly is a proven performer and race winner in F1's midfield who has performed wonders since being dropped by Red Bull Racing in the middle of 2019 and is rightly confident and assured in his own ability. His experience with Red Bull and AlphaTauri would be of enormous value to Williams, which could also depend on his capacity to perform consistently well, provided the machinery is up to it. Gasly recently said his future is in Red Bull's hands, but things are still up in the air for next year. It's almost impossible to see Williams being able to sell him on the project, let alone Red Bull letting him go given his importance to AlphaTauri, but it's worth a phone call just in case. If Russell isn't at Williams next year, it's likely this will mean Valtteri Bottas will be on the market. In that situation, bringing back a driver who raced for the team from 2013 to 2016 would be both logical and hugely beneficial. Not only is Bottas a very quick driver, albeit one who has suffered the misfortune of being compared directly to an all-time great for the past 4.5 seasons, but he would also bring vast experience of how F1's preeminent team of recent years operates. This would make him the ideal focal point for Williams long term. And the arrival of a driver with multiple F1 victories would be a real statement of intent. This is, of course, assuming a driver who will still only be 32 at the start of next season has the desire to race on in F1 and drop down the grid to a team that, at best, will be in the thick of the midfield in 2022 to do so. Ex-Red Bull driver Daniil Kvyat has plenty of experience and remains in the F1 fold with Alpine. He was also an F1 regular in 2019 and 2020 after being brought back to what was initially called Toro Rosso following a year as Ferrari's third driver. On his day, Kvyat is capable of producing some strong performances. The trouble is, those days haven't come often enough throughout his F1 career. For a team like Williams, a driver with over 100 starts and 3 podium finishes on his CV is appealing if it can't land its favoured options. Kvyat also brings plenty of knowledge from the Red Bull teams and Alpine, as well as a genuine determination to reignite his F1 career. Kvyat is certainly available and would jump at the chance to join Williams, and at 27 he has the right balance of experience with plenty of years still ahead of him. But the key question is whether he can ever consistently make good on the promise he showed early in his F1 career. He'd need to do that to be a genuine team leader. Nico Hulkenberg is probably the leading contender among the experienced hands currently on the F1 sidelines. He'll be 34 next season, so combines plenty of F1 experience with the potential for a good medium-term future as Williams looks for a driver to build around. He also played a key part at Enstone as it built up under Renault. While he is most famous for being the driver with the most starts in F1 without a podium finish, he's also had plenty of very good results during more than a decade in Formula 1. That includes his famous pole position for Williams at the 2010 Brazilian Grand Prix. Hulkenberg has always been a very fast driver, but perhaps one not ideally suited to the direction F1 has taken over the past decade. But if next year's tyres allow drivers to push more thanks to being less temperature sensitive and requiring reduced management, that could suit his skill set very well. There are other options with experience knocking around. Ex-Haas drivers Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen have plenty of experience, but are committed to their new careers. Alex Albon has also raced in F1 recently, but would be a risky recruit given his struggles in 2020 and the fact he isn't as experienced as some of the alternatives. Latifi is in his second season with Williams, but his place has not been confirmed beyond the end of the year. He recently said that staying with Williams is his target. Given the value of his presence, which is understood to be intertwined with the loan's father Michael Latifi made to Williams and equates to as much as £20 million, many consider it a foregone conclusion he will stay on. But it is still far from certain he will stay at Williams. Latifi has proved capable enough during his season and a half in F1, but has not delivered at anything like Russell's level. If Williams is serious about its ambitions, then Latifi going into 2022 as its effective leader is not an option, so he's no Russell replacement. But he's certainly worthy of consideration for the second seat, should an acceptable level of backing still be forthcoming. But if Williams' priority really is performance, there are better options out there. Latifi is a well-liked character with a professional approach who knows the team well and still has time to take another step this year, particularly when it comes to qualifying. And he has shown flashes of promise that just haven't been frequent enough. Whether the ambitious Williams team has seen enough potential upside is the big question. Formula 2 points leader Guan Zhou could well end the season as champion and wouldn't be the first title winner at that level to race for Williams, given Pastor Maldonado and Nico Hulkenberg followed a similar path. And he has the added appeal of potentially opening the door to the lucrative Chinese market that F1 has eyed covetously but with only mixed success in recent times. As a rookie, he's not an option as team leader, but could be a very appealing alternative to Latifi as a second driver with a potential financial upside. And while Zhou hasn't established himself in the potential megastar bracket, he's clearly a driver with genuine ability who will deserve a crack at Grand Prix racing should he prevail in F2. But he is Alpine aligned, and despite rumours of a Williams tie-up with Renault, it has a long-term deal with Mercedes that it won't turn its back on. But that doesn't mean that some kind of deal can't be struck, especially with Alpine needing to find a way to get a successful junior on the grid if its academy scheme is going to have purpose. Fellow Alpine junior Oscar Piastri, currently second in F2, is an option for a similar reason, and in his first F2 season is arguably a driver with more potential than Zhou, and therefore also worth considering. Jack Aitken is already on Williams' books as test driver and acquitted himself well on his one-off outing in last year's Sakir Grand Prix as stand-in for Russell. Although he did spin and wipe out his front wing, he brought the car home 16th and impressed the team with his approach. The 25-year-old is currently racing a Lamborghini Huracan in the GT World Challenge, but recently returned to F2 with HWA Racelab. And as a driver with wins at F2 and F3 level, as well as a couple of Formula Renault titles on his CV, he has proved he has the ability to do the job in F1. His relative lack of F1 experience means he's not a Russell replacement, but as part of Williams' existing lineup, he does have the chance to make his case for the second seat. Former Red Bull driver Dan Ticktum's reputation precedes him, and he has no lack of critics, but he is also a driver capable of serious pace, and he has the advantage of being a Williams development driver. He would be a huge gamble and a controversial choice, but one that could pay off. After all, you don't win the Macau Grand Prix twice without being genuinely good. He's another whose lack of F1 experience means he's only an option as a teammate to an experienced and proven team leader, but Williams does at least know plenty about him from his simulator work. Whether it's willing to consider taking a gamble on him is another matter. He's a rank outsider, but because he's on Williams' books, it means he's got his foot in the door. He needs to deliver consistently in F2 this season and at least challenge for the title to have any chance though. Fellow F2 racer Roy Nissany is also on Williams' books and has had the occasional Friday practice outing for Williams, but he does not have the super licence points required and is unlikely to have them by the end of the year. And even if he did, he has yet to show anything like the ability to justify an F1 seat. Williams could also consider replacing one Mercedes contracted driver with another. 2019 Formula 2 champion Nyck de Vries currently races for Mercedes in Formula E and is one of its F1 reserve drivers. At 26, he's perhaps a little older than the usual F1 rookie, but he has a good single-seater CV and was also once a McLaren junior. So he's had plenty of experience of working with F1 teams and driving in the simulator. What counts against him is the lack of F1 experience, and the fact that, so far, Mercedes has shown little desire to ease his path into an F1 seat. So while de Vries deserves an F1 shot, the big question is whether either Mercedes or Williams see him as a star of the future. If you enjoyed this look at the drivers Williams can consider, please hit like and subscribe. And don't forget to join the debate about who Williams should sign in the comments section and suggest any realistic names we haven't mentioned.